that we've got Maple, Terry, and not pictured Tina, who are helping us throughout this weekend. They get no break whatsoever. They have to stay on camera, on screen. They have to listen the whole entire time. And so I would offer that perhaps Maple and Terry know more about the products in our company than many of our attendees, because they don't ever wander away from their attention span when we do these kind of events. So thank you, Maple. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Tina. We really appreciate what you do for us, whether it's here or our regionals or all our events. I know recently you were overseas doing stuff with our CEO and co-founder Lauren. So we really appreciate your sacrifice that you make. We are required to put up a couple of disclaimers. Although this weekend is product centric, we're really going to focus on the way that we help people. There is a chance that we will talk a little bit about the fruits of our labors. And if we do that, you need to know that the earnings depicted are atypical, and the success of any unfranchised owner will depend upon the amount of hard work, talent, and dedication which you bring or devote to building your Market America business. For some people, I always say this is not a get rich quick scheme, although there have been many people that have, in fact, become very wealthy in a very short period of time implementing the Market America business model. While we are, again, product centric this weekend, if in fact, for any reason, you aren't one of our business partners and you want to learn a little bit more about the business side, please get together with the person that invited you to this weekend and ask them some more questions about that. Of course, we are going to talk a lot about product. And so we are required to give you the FDA disclaimer that these statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. And these products discussed are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. And you should not insinuate that they are either, okay? Our products are absolutely amazing. Personally, I've seen miraculous things with our products. However, you can't use words like cure, prevent. So stay in safe harbor. One of the things I love about Market America is that we've got now in excess of a 30-year track record of doing the right thing with our products, with our presentations, and the way we represent our company. So please make sure that you are clear about that. It's really, really important. So one of the things that I'd like to do just real quick with you is, again, ask for your patience as we work through some of the technical things, switching slides. I just got out of the slide deck. I'm about to introduce our first speaker. And so in doing so, there's those transition things. And so we will do our best to do our best for you. We hope that you'll be patient with us. Of course, over the course of the day, we've got some incredible things for you. Dr. Deidre Mason has planned some giveaways. We've got some amazing gifts, prizes, things that you're going to win today, but you want to be obviously 100% present. I want you to know that we build from event to event in this company. And when you leave here this weekend, you're going to be empowered with knowledge about our products that you're going to be able to apply. And I love that product symposium is happening right in the middle of holiday season when we're going to see so many of our family members, because you're going to hear people say, this hurts, this aches, I wish I didn't feel so full. Man, this is digestive enzyme season, right? So where people are loosening their belt buckles, opening their pants after Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner. And what a great way for you to be able to introduce our products, especially for me, one of my favorites, digestive enzymes. So, of course, I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for the invite of the person that's organizing the product symposium this year. That's our Dr. Deidre Mason. Her official title, of course, is that she's the Vice President of Clinical Education and Training for Market America, which I don't think does anything for the depth and breadth of which her commitment to our company is evident in all the things that she does. And so one of the things that I would be remiss not to tell you is that she has an incredibly steeped background in naturopathic medicine, over 20 years of clinical practice and experience. So she's not telling you just what she thinks, and she thinks a lot. She's also telling you what she's experienced, what she's seen, her actual practical application. And so I want to encourage you to take advantage of this wealth of knowledge that we have that exists in essence, at our fingertips through Market America. Of course, we'll cover this over the course of the weekend, but there's many ways for you to be able to enjoy Dr. Deidre Mason's knowledge. She does coffee talks. She does Is That True? things like that over the course, and we'll cover those over the course of the weekend. So I guess my point to you is that there's many, many tools that are available to you to utilize. And one of those best things would be the sharp knife that is the knowledge base that Dr. Deidre Mason brings to Market America and Shop.com. So without any further ado, I would like to thank Dr. Deidre Mason and ask you to please welcome to the stage to talk to you a little bit about who she is, what she does, and how we're going to set up this weekend. Her favorite quote, of course, is that the road to good health is paved with good intestines. I've said it at every single product training and health and nutrition training I've ever done. It's such a great thing. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning and welcome, Dr. Deidre Mason. Deidre.
Hey, thank you so much, Jim, for that. This is always an honor to have Jim with us. He's one of the most incredible MCs. I like to call him the master of wellness ceremonies. So thank you, Jim, for all that you do for the rest of us. You guys, today is all about you and then what we're going to do to pass on our knowledge from this weekend to others. I couldn't be more honored to be your host today with some incredible clinical faculty that are going to share their knowledge with us. I thought what would be an incredible way for us to start today is to share 6 elements. You may call them elements of happiness. You may call them elements of well-being or longevity. That is exactly what this weekend is about. So in sharing this information with you, beyond the welcome, what I would love to see us do is identify how these wellness aspects, happiness aspects, and longevity aspects apply to you, your product knowledge, and of course, what you're able and capable of doing for so many other people by sharing our Market America vision with them. There are 6 elements, they say, of happiness, of longevity, and one of them is certainty. Can you really appreciate, like, feel that deep in your belly, the importance of security? It may be comfort. You may define certainty in a different way, but for us to be able to really transfer a sense of health and well-being to others, one thing that we do with our Market America business is that we offer them a sense of certainty. People don't like to feel like they are amongst chaos. And so one of the things that you do, and one of the things that we instill, hopefully through this weekend and all of our incredible trainings, is the sense of certainty, even security, and trust within our customers. So as we go through the next 2 days with some incredible people, you included, I want you to think about what you're learning, how it can apply to other people. Make sure, as Jim said, you've got that pen out so that when one of us is speaking, you're definitely going to think of somebody that you can help. I want you to apply the next words to that individual. What is it that you can do that can help them achieve some level of security, comfort, certainty in their step in utilizing supplements with you, maybe even talking to you about the business? And I want you to be reflective for yourself. How is it that Market America, some of your organizational partners, have also instilled in you a sense of comfort, security, certainty? These aren't just these 6 words of happiness. I believe that these are words that really lend to what Market America does for so many individuals. Novelty, variety. This is important. We need to stimulate our senses. As individuals that are looking to achieve something greater in life, we have to see that just outside of our reach, enough that we extend ourselves, that we push ourselves. And that does lend to other aspects of these elements. But one of the things that I want you to appreciate that you're learning here this week, and I want you to think and instill in yourself, is the idea of novelty or variety. It's that variety of the people that you're going to meet, the different personalities that we meet. Different people's stories will start to help you develop your sense of agency within this business and your sense of comfort with the products. While it might seem counterintuitive to talk about novelty and certainty right after one another, what we want to know is that we're in the right place. That's part of certainty. And that's why our business partners and events like this are so incredibly beneficial for us for that sense of certainty. But each and every lecture is going to give you something new, something that you can apply. And that is that novelty, that variety. My favorite word is curiosity. If you can stay curious, we end up finding incredible things. You turn over a handful of rocks, right? You flip a page in a book, and so much is capable for you. And that is what lends to significance. Feeling significant in what we're doing, feeling significant in who we are assisting. These are some of the tenets that fall right underneath the foundation, the bedrock of this company. Feeling significant is another way of also saying respect, self-awareness, also knowing that you offer something amazing that no one else can offer. The very best part of being you is being you, right? There is no one else that does that as well as you do. So I love what Nike says about just do it. What I want you to do this weekend and moving forward is to think about how you just do you, because you are not just significant to this event this weekend. You are not just significant to your business partners. You are significant to the world around you. There is that unique flavor, spice, awesomeness that you offer that should not be hidden. And I want this weekend for us to think about how we can truly make that difference in someone's life, because for so many of us that are very much people driven, people thinking about purpose. One of the ways that we find significance, reward, even a dopamine rush, if you want to call it that, is by assisting and helping other people achieve their goals. And that brings us to this concept of connection. One major aspect of longevity, whether we're talking about the blue zones, we're talking about longevity research, one aspect that is critical to longevity is a sense of connection, social connection. I want you to think of multiple ways that you can create connection and novelty. There's someone that will pop into your head this weekend. I want you to write down their name, and I want you to think about how you may be able to send them a special personalized message. That's something you learned this weekend had you thinking of them. That itself is a novel interaction with them, going back to other aspects of how we can introduce happiness and a sense of well-being to other people. That sense of connection also allows us, I don't know if you're aware, but from a psychology standpoint, when we give to others, we end up creating more happiness than, let's say, if we went and did something for ourselves, like got a pedicure, bought new golf clubs, did something that seems very self, tends to not lend as much happiness, as much sense of well-being, quality of life when it's measured to those that say they feel connected to the people around them. So today, definitely be using the chat. There are two different chats that you're able to use. There's one in the lobby where you're sharing, your your networking web, as we are referring to it. And then of course the chat right here. And I want to say how grateful I am just in this moment for Julie Lancetal, our nurse practitioner, health practitioner, UFO extraordinaire, is helping us in the chat so that all of us can feel better connected. Thank you, Julie, for all that you're doing to help everybody in our space today find their very best experience. But as we look into what we know is beneficial, that connection is critical to our own longevity. So start thinking about how what you learned this weekend, what this mission-driven, value-driven company offers you, and how it can offer somebody else a sense of connection. That sense of connection is frequently to something bigger than ourselves, right? It is that sense of growth. It is that sense of challenge that pushes us, that novelty that pushes us into a growth mindset. We do know that when we are too comfortable, we tend to recede. Well, I think it's normal in anybody's business that there is a natural level of contraction before expansion. I think that contraction that we all can really tie into is that contraction of keeping it simple, doing the daily steps, being consistent. Commitment to consistency will ultimately yield growth for all of us. But that growth mindset is also about what we can do in that connection to other people. How do we help them achieve their growth matrix? What is it that would, if someone were to participate with the Go Trim lifestyle system, how would that help them grow in themselves, their confidence? What about changing somebody's trajectory of health? How does that help them grow and achieve other things that they want to do? Tell your story. What has it done for you? And this is one of the ways that we really feed in to what is so critically important for all of us, which is a sense of contribution. You may call this purpose, as I do, waking up and thinking, what is it that you're going to do for someone else today? How do you bless another person? What is your contribution? Some people will think of this as legacy. And while I don't think that's necessarily selfish to think of legacy as ourselves, and that's why I love the idea of contribution, is because for me, contribution speaks to the legacy of the imprint that you have made in another person's life. What have I contributed to the growth, the connectivity, the novelty, the sense of certainty, security, or comfort of another human being? Now, while those might have been elements of happiness, elements of longevity, and things that I want you to try to instill in your conversations and relationships with other people, I think this company is also built on something else. And it is what J.R. Ridinger shared with all of us, which is belief. That is one of the most powerful words in Market America. Hearing his words of, I believe in you. Believing in yourself. And ultimately, what JR shared with us was believing in other people gave us the capacity to believe in ourselves. If they could do it, so could we. If we could be inspired, motivated by the changes that other people made, we could just for a moment think that we might be able to do a little bit more than we were doing today. I want to remind you guys that action will always precede motivation. Taking that small little step forward will precede you really growing or falling into these elements. And I would be remiss if I didn't not just share JR's words of belief, but Dennis's words of focus. Uh, Product Symposium is the brainchild of Dennis Franks. His message for all of us was to take the lessons that JR gave us, to believe in ourselves. And as the amazing leader servant that Dennis was and still is in all of our hearts, he created Product Symposium with a wish that you would do something better for yourself through feeding and believing and working with other people. He always told us to focus, to stay the course, and to see us at the top. I can't think of a better way to get us to all of these goals where we can instill these words in the work that we do without the help of my clinical faculty. I can't think of better illustration of what these words mean in the fabric, built into the fabric of this weekend's clinical faculty. Let me share who will be sharing their incredible knowledge with you. You've had the opportunity to meet Jim Dwyer. Jim Dwyer, as I love to call him, our master of wellness ceremonies. But here, his moniker is Financial Freedom Advocate. Really, he reaches for excellence in everything in his life. He works towards helping other people achieve their goals. And he's a great example of someone that was able to find a better work-life balance, a better life and quality of life balance without feeling like he was always putting his shoulder into the grindstone. While Jim would be the first person, maybe the second person, I think Buckman might be the first person to tell you that it does start with hard work, that 100% of that work is worthwhile. It is my big pleasure, my great pleasure to share with you Dr. Nancy Miller-Ely, as a nutrition science pioneer with over 25 years of impact in nutrition research, with over 70 publications, one patent, writing the white paper for the White House on obesity. She has, for now, I don't want to age her, but has now for so many years with Market America been our right hand, always willing to jump in and help us from everything from the development of curriculum for our nonprofit, the NEI, to supporting Nutrimetrics health professionals across the United States, assisting us in really elevating our Go Trim lifestyle system. Leadership does not truly speak to everything that Nancy has done for this community. It is backed, as I said, by an incredible amount of knowledge, expertise, but integrity. She is incredibly focused, passionate, if you would, on educating others to seek better health, find better health. As an individual, and I will allow you to for Nancy to tell her story, but as an individual that has overcome significant obstacles by many people's measure, her story is one of creating being a hero, but helping other people see that they can create a hero in their own story. Dr. Brian Brown is with us, and he is, I often will say that Nancy is one of our fan favorites, and there's zero question about that. But Dr. Brian Brown, Doctor of Nurse Practice, is one of our most requested speakers. And so we're so lucky to have him with us this weekend. We call him America's Moody Brain Expert. He is the developer of a method of health and well-being called the Genesis Zone Advantage. He has nearly 40 years of expertise in psychiatric medicine, in longevity medicine, in age management, and well-being. As a doctor of nurse practice, he is on a regular basis in service to people of great need and moving them forward. He also has overcome incredible health challenges. When you get a chance to have Brian introduce himself to you, you'll understand exactly the impact that overcoming hardship can make in moving you in the right direction and focusing you towards something greater than you. And I think he is an amazing epitome of that. And there is so much for you to learn from Dr. Brian Brown this weekend. I'm so excited that both Nancy and Brian accepted our invitation to be here. Kim Ashley, our beauty innovator, who clearly robs my closet for blazers. Or did I take hers? No, we're just both fashion divas. She is truly one of the powerhouses behind Market America. As a beauty innovator, she's our director of Motives Cosmetics, Skincare, Lumiere de Vie, and our brand and our house brands, truly working towards the empowerment of female entrepreneurship, female business ownership. While I don't think she would appreciate ever having too much of the limelight put on her, I think it's so incredibly important for us to know just how much heavy lifting Kim Ashley does to help us achieve some of the best brands in the industry. Cullen Haskins, our unfranchised trailblazer, will be with us this weekend. His story of moving from finding uh, contentment, but then knowing that there was more, seeing that purpose came by serving other people. It says here his career transition from maintenance mechanic to successful entrepreneur. He did it dang near overnight in just 2 years with the partnership with his wife, Trinity. He's been able to be home with his 5 children and change the lives of thousands of individuals because he is truly in the spirit of Dennis Franks, a servant leader. He is always there for us, and we are going to learn so much from Cullen this weekend. This is my ride or die, Brandy Murphy. She is one of we call her an innovative business coach, but here in Market America, I will share with you that we call her the unicorn. There is nothing that Brandy Murphy has not found. We have yet to find something that Brandy Murphy cannot grab, tackle, wrestle to the ground, and make better. This weekend would not have taken place without an incredible amount of commitment and dedication from Brandy Murphy. She has over 20 years of experience in as an unfranchised owner. And so much of that has been spent helping other people achieve success. She has worked with the corporate office since 2008. Roughly, she can correct me on that. For me, it has been one of the biggest gifts of my life to be able to have Brandy call her a friend and have her be so near my side to help us reach the goals that we know all of us can reach. She has recently become more and more involved in AI integration, and she is our artificial intelligence expert here. She has dedicated thousands of hours and thousands of dollars to helping businesses through AI innovation, and we do consider her our subject matter expert. One thing that Brandy's been able to do that should inspire you to think about what you are capable of doing is creating a significant balance in her life by being able to be home with her husband and her 2 kids, homeschool her 2 children, and be really to design her life. And she was able to do that because of what we all create together as a community. And I am your host. I am your Vice President of Clinical Education and Training with over 20 years of experience in integrative medicine as a women's health physician, learning more about nutrigenomics and applying nutritional principles next to Western medicine or conventional medicine principles, hopefully have inspired others to see how they can make a change in their life. I know that being a part of all of your lives has made the biggest and most impactful change in my professional development. You all mean so, so very much to me. With that, I do want to get started giving you kind of some feedback, or not feedback, I'm sorry, giving you some kind of picture of what to expect for the rest of this weekend. I'm going to share with you what I refer to as my 8 domains of health. That is how we built Product Symposium this weekend, is taking a customer's journey, empowering healthy habits with our customers so that they can, through one step, not all steps, not all 8 domains, just one step, start moving their health in the right direction, start adding to or stacking on their health habits. And that is what we want to pay attention to this weekend. How can you start with one thing by understanding a customer's journey? So we will take you through this morning the 8 domains of health, and then we will build on that theme throughout the weekend with this incredible, incredible clinical faculty. What we're looking to do is one customer, client, patient at a time, cultivate sustainable lifestyle change, empowered by ourselves, through others, through simple steps, individuals to reach their final longevity goals of being balanced, supporting body, mind, spirit. These are the tenets, the vision, the value statement of Product Symposium. So let's do it. The 8 domains of health. It starts with digestive health. Jim shared with you that the road to health is paved with good intestines. Everybody sets out to do the right thing. No one sets out to do the wrong thing. Not one of you woke up this morning and thought, I think I'll just wreck it. I think I'll just wreck it, right? No, we all set out to do the right thing, but life gets in the way. So starting with health goals, moving someone towards their next health benchmark starts with digestive health, because your gut informs everything, be it immune system, how well the body absorbs nutrients is reliant on the integrity of the gut. And that microbiome balance is critical for cardiovascular well-being. How diverse your gut bugs are has everything to do with how healthy your heart is, how healthy your mind is. So on our customer journey, this is where we start. We move into detoxification, because you cannot age well if you do not detox well. Detoxification removes both internal and external toxicity. It takes care of aging metabolism, getting rid of the broken down parts and recycling, regenerating, rebuilding the good parts. That all starts with healthy detoxification. Detoxification is not simply about cleansing out or evacuation. It is about adding back in great stimulation to the total body electric so that we can age well. While your gut rules the roost, detoxification and the organs of detoxification is how we ultimately communicate the messages that the gut sends. That lends to critical communication, critical signals, and that's why we get into endocrine balance or hormonal health. This all starts with one step towards better blood sugar. When we are able to support a healthy blood sugar level, take steps to maintain healthy blood sugar, which, by the way, starts with a healthy gut, we are now able to better inform our thyroid, better inform our heart, our brain, our adrenals, our gonads. It starts with making sure that we are the best hormonal communicators, and healthy blood sugars is the way that we do that. Then once your blood sugars are in a healthy range, once you really have got that tackled, now cardiovascular health isn't easy. It's a no-brainer. It's when we do these things out of order that we tend to feel like we are moving upstream against the flow to achieve healthy lipids, healthy triglycerides, healthy brain function, healthy factors of exercise, endurance, and stamina, cardiovascular health. We are just better equipped to have a healthy heart and communicate oxygen and blood flow when our gut is in order, when we are healthy detoxifiers, when our blood sugars are in a healthy range, because now the heart and that vascular system is not swimming upstream. It's not It's not pushing against resistance, because what the first 3 steps do is clear the path for better health. As we move into that, I think everyone can appreciate once the heart is in order and we've got back that cardio metabolic vitality. Now, fitness is not a chore. Now, fitness, building mass, muscle mass, bone mass. We now find that this is an easier path for us, that we start to see the rewards that we've been looking for. That one of those rewards is the 6th domain of health, which is body composition, maintaining a healthy body composition, fat-free mass. When we have healthy lean muscle mass, our muscles communicate meaningfully to our brain, to our endocrine system. And now you're starting to see, once we get to fitness, how we shift into a give and take, a move forward, a back and forth between the domains of health. Healthy body composition begets healthy endocrine function, healthy detoxification. When we are moving our mass through fitness, we are now sending signals back to the first 4 domains to achieve and maintain that health in spite of aging. And that is why one of the things I love about Market America products is the fact that aging is optional, right? We can slow down the signs of aging, which brings us to the 7th domain of health, which is balancing cognitive function so that we feel productive today, but that we set the tone for our future self and what we can expect for our future self. And while I may say the road to health is paved with good intestines, you will also hear me say, if you can do nothing else for yourself, get a good night's sleep. That is the 8th domain of health. While 8 domains may seem big, like so much to swallow, you're going over the next 2 days, the rest of this weekend, to learn exactly how to apply them. But I'm going to suggest that if you're looking for the easy button, if you're looking for the simple conversation, getting back to basics, that you start with these 3 health targets. Prioritize gut health. Your microbiome supports so much, as we discussed. Make sure that you are getting and sharing, right? Contributing, remember that was part of our happiness, contributing to other people's health by ensuring that they are getting the master nutrients. These are the non-negotiable vitamins and minerals, amino acids, fatty acids that the body needs so that the brain functions optimally, so that the body functions towards an end of longevity, robust youthfulness, despite the number of years that you've clocked in or the number of calendar years that you have seen. Master nutrients are the nutrients that wear the pants. They're the nutrients doing the heavy lifting. They are the non-negotiables. If you feel like you don't know where to start, start with the master nutrients. And then make sure that you are getting a healthy night's sleep. I will tell you, if you can focus on these 3 things, prioritize your gut health, ensure that you're getting the master nutrients, and that you take steps towards regular restorative sleep, the other domains like blood sugar balance fall into, well, balance. They fall into place. Fitness, cardiovascular health, cognitive well-being, it all starts to just fill in the gaps when we take care of the front with our gut, the middle with those master nutrients, and the other bookend of longevity, restorative sleep. Everything else falls into place. I want to share with you a little bit about these domains because there are tenets to each one of them. Digestion matters. The gut is connected throughout the body. And to get this started, we simply need a complete biotic. There are trillions of bacteria living in our digestive tract. So focusing on the gut allows those bacteria to work in our favor, creating metabolites that yield energy, that yield healthy lipids, that yield healthy gut-brain connection, a gut-liver thyroid connection. That all starts in the gut. And it means one of the principal steps you'll take is be making one of the principal steps you'll want to take is make sure that you're getting a complete biotic. That means you're getting a prebiotic, a probiotic, and that you are getting a postbiotic. The way you're going to complete this regimen is with your prebiotic NutriClean Advanced Fiber Powder. You're going to get some of those functional ingredients, including a postbiotic in the lactospore of the digestive enzymes, and you're going to get probiotics with probiotics 10. To get a complete biotic, you want to make sure that you digest well and that you give the body the raw ingredients. And so you're going to learn more about these products today as a foundation to healthy digestion. If you have to start somewhere, you're going to start with the NutriClean Fiber Powder. As we move forward, know that what you're going to learn this weekend is not just about product, but steps we can take towards meaningful activity, meaningful benefit, to change someone's life. And it means you don't just sell products, you also are a trusted resource for health education, well-being, and a place of integrity. And that's why I have shared with you some of what I think are some of the more meaningful daily practices, like taking a deep breath. If we really want to get the digestive tract in order, we will take time each day to practice deep breathing. The gut and the brain are intimately connected to one another. When there's chaos in the intestines, there's chaos in the brain. And that lends to chaos just about everywhere else. It is so hard to keep the domains in order, lined up the way they should be lined up, functioning the way they need to, without having the gut in order. And deep breathing is one of the ways simply that you can share with your customers how they can start moving themselves on a path forward beyond a purchase with you, but developing a customer trusted relationship with you. That second domain, of course, is detoxification. I shared it earlier. I'll repeat it again. You cannot age well if you cannot detox well. The liver is a functioning liver, better yet, is essential for healthy aging. It supports healthy lipids, healthy hormone balance, your heart health. All of it is linked to how well does this organ right here detox. When we think about all age management testing, they're really just liver function tests. Your lipid panel is a liver test. Your blood sugar is an insulin, cortisol, testosterone, progesterone, estrogen. These are all things that we measure based on how the liver conjugates or binds them. At the end of the day, age management is inextricably linked to the health of that liver. That liver connection is a longevity connection because it is central to how well you can manage blood sugar, insulin, stress, and hormones of aging, including libido. So if you are concerned about sexual health, you're concerned about sexual aging or aging in general, one place to make sure that you put your weight, that you lean in or step hard on the gas is with detoxification. The best ways to make sure that you're detoxifying is to make sure that you have access to antioxidants, whether they come from botanicals, foods, or supplementation, and that you're getting adequate minerals. I'll often say that antioxidants, botanicals, and minerals, antioxidants and minerals are found oftentimes in botanicals, is the easy button to making sure that you are detoxifying well. And that's why today you'll learn more about how to create that healthy foundation with Curcumin Extreme, NutriClean HepatoCleanse, and then of course isotonics solutions with a vitamin and mineral options. Curcumin being one of the more important aspects. If you're going to start somewhere with detoxification, I want you to start with Curcumin Extreme. Within this trio, it does the heavy lifting. In addition to that, it is one of our master nutrients. So something that you'll learn today is what is the first product we should be taking, and that's why I've lit these up in gray. But if it's a master nutrient, one that you're going to give special deference, you'll see me light it up in green. Meaningful practice, hydration, support bodily functions, immune function. Hydration is critical. Everything from brain hydration for cognitive function to making sure that we maintain healthy detoxification to feeling more energetic throughout the day. We know that we can simply do this by taking steps towards better hydration and then amplifying hydration. That may be through adding fruits to our water or simply adding an electrolyte mix like Tower Plus electrolytes to our hydration practices so we can amp up our well-being. That domain 3 is supporting your hormones. I mentioned specifically blood sugar health. Gut health and blood sugar health uh, do so much of the heavy lifting, and they're closely related to each other. You are rarely apt to be able to find healthy blood sugar without having a healthy gut, or at least it's not easy to do. You're doing it wrong if you're trying to do it without a healthy gut. And that's why domain 1 is digestive health. A healthy gut supports that endocrine communication, as I shared with you. Blood sugar aids in hormonal balance. When one element of hormones go up, another hormone has to come down. There is a constant tug of war within our hormones. There's a sweet spot, a Goldilocks situation that goes on with hormones. And it tends to be that what is ruling the access to healthy hormones is whether or not your blood sugars are maintained within a healthy range. That gut blood sugar brain connection cannot be, it's underrated how important this is. Stable blood sugar helps maintain brain health, supports cellular integrity, hormonal signaling to the body. How do we pay attention to this? With botanicals, fatty acids, and of course, what we would refer to as prohormones. You're going to call those vitamin D. Advanced level 90 for blood sugar health, for overall longevity, because it focuses on the liver as well as on blood sugar health. Isotonics, vitamin D, a critical player in all aspects of endocrine health, endocrine balance, whether we're talking about aging metabolism and supporting our bone mineral density, our immune function, our brain function, even our mood. But vitamin D plays a critical role in cholesterol balance from a hormone perspective, in insulin and stress hormone balance. And then you cannot be here without heart health, omega-3 fatty acids. The advanced level 90 is your critical player here. As we go through this, you'll learn more about how to create meaningful daily practices. First, morning light. Get outside in that bright light as we did for all of you this morning. Thank you for being a part of that. We're going to move quickly through the next domains of health. You see them here with cardiovascular support, oxygen and blood flow, antioxidants, botanicals, and of course, fish oil. These are the players, with heart health omegas being that critical place that you focus, as well as being one of your masters. We move through then from the meaningful practice of getting in those mini walks, getting in cardiovascular support. That lends you closer to the 5th domain of supporting your fitness, because we know that muscle dictates metabolism, and that muscle is, in fact, your longevity organ. The organ of longevity is muscle. And so that's why we ask the question, what builds muscle? Well, a complete protein, things like astaxanthin, goat trim with its Splendicor ingredients, with that protein, of course, being the place that you start. Underrated in health and nutrition and longevity is the amount of protein the body needs. Make sure that you're focusing with your customers here. Quickly, I want to just share with you that those amino acids are one of your master ingredients. We move into promoting that healthy body composition. You are going to learn so much from Dr. Nancy Miller-Ely about the Go Trim lifestyle system this weekend, and understanding it moves beyond simple body mass, but into a balanced heart and a balanced brain. Whether you want to use the principal actor of the Go Trim nutrition shakes, learn more about Go Trim Core, or of course, our entire Go Trim line. Meaningful practices, of course, you're to set small, specific goals each week that you know that you can reach. That lends to supporting your cognitive health, whether that's through blood flow, oxygen, or having the right raw materials that you wouldn't have until this moment in the domains. Making sure that you are getting exactly what you need means that you've got the right raw ingredients on board. One of the critical players here is making sure that you're getting enough antioxidants, omegas, through curcumin, isotonic OPC3, and the couple of different ways that we can share omega-3 fatty acids with you, knowing that these are some of our master nutrients. And so this is where you put your weight. Let's end with supporting sleep, which is if you can do nothing else for well-being, make sure that you get a good night's sleep. To support metabolic repair, sleep building blocks are what will allow you to start this cycle all over again. Isotonic magnesium is one of your critical players, being a master nutrient along with vitamin D3, and paying attention to the building blocks that we'll talk about here this weekend with Isotonics Turn Up. You guys keep it real, keep it useful. I am so happy that you decided to spend this weekend with all of us. Jim Dwyer is here to encourage me to wrap it up and introduce our very next speaker. All of you, I couldn't be happier that we get to do this together. Thanks for being a part of this wellness community.
Absolutely fantastic, Dr. Deidre Mason. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. At this point, we're live. People are just going crazy. So feel free to put some clapping hands in the chat or type one. Just let Dr. D know how much we appreciate her commitment for all of us. Thank you again, Deidre. We really appreciate it. Said some amazing things there. I love stay curious. I absolutely love that, Dr. D. And I love that you talked about staying curious allows you to become significant. I think the people that are called to this particular industry, this particular company for sure, are certainly the people that want to make a difference in other people's lives, to be significant. It's one of the things I really love most about what we do as a company is being able to impact other people's lives. And I think that's kind of the way you build a lasting legacy is the acts of kindness and help that you do here now that outlive us. Of course, she mentioned gut health. She mentioned master nutrients and restorative sleep. So important. I love two of the supplements that she mentioned. For me, curcumin. Early in my career with Market America, I traveled frequently to Buffalo, New York, to help Shannon Goodberry and Dan Hurley build their organizations. And I realized quickly, if you spend time in Buffalo, you will need to do some kind of liver support. They imbibe quite a bit up there. Love you guys. And of course, omega-3s. If you haven't gotten a chance to see Dr. Tamara Weinstein do her omega-3 presentation, do whatever it takes to get to one of our health and nutrition trainings and take advantage of that. It'll change your life. You'll never go another day without taking them. I take a double dose in the morning and double dose at night, 2 in the morning, 2 at night, to offset triglycerides and things like that. So, or help enhance and those systems. So, and then the other thing she said, and I think this is important, and I'll sum it up by saying, Goya, get off your anatomy, right? I mean, you got to take action. Just having this knowledge isn't enough if you don't do that. I want to just real quickly do an audible here because we had a little bit of an issue early on. I'm going to share my screen for the product transition slides. I just want to make sure that we can get you guys. Oh, I cannot do that because some other people are sharing, which is fine. Brandy's sharing. But if you are having trouble with transition slides, let us know and we'll put that information back up for you, or get it in the chat and we'll get that figured out for you as well. Our next speaker is going to talk to you about going from process to progress, right? A journey of better health. Brandy Murphy is such an incredible asset to our company. I don't say that just because she's a dear friend. We hail from the same part of Pennsylvania. I've known Brandy in excess now going on 3 decades. Of just making an impact in our company, but I can attribute pin levels personal pin levels in his company to the Nutrimetrics division. That wouldn't exist, I don't think, without the support and help and really the implementation of what Brandy Murphy's done. She's the director of Nutrimetrics training and field development, her official title, but she's so much more than that. She's incredibly well educated. I won't read the whole litany of things that she's done to improve herself. What I love about Brandy is, most people graduate high school and never read another book. They stop learning. And if I could sum up Brandy Murphy in one kind of thought, it would be that she's continued to be just a incredible consumer of knowledge. She has stayed on the cutting edge of technology. She is literally enthralling when she talks about chat GPT and AI and how to implement that to make our businesses more successful, more easy, and be able to leverage your time, which is hopefully what many of us want. Please welcome to the Product Symposium, Miss Brandy Murphy.
Thank you so much, Jim. I so appreciate it. And, my eyes were tearing up this morning, not only during that introduction, but Dee's introduction and the chat, just all the love in the chat. I'm so grateful to be here with all of you today. Before we get started, let me just put it into presentation mode. But before we get started, just a couple quick announcements for you. I know a couple of you were having, based on your chat and the questions in the chat, some people were having some issues with the download. Certain browsers aren't allowing the resources to be downloaded. And so you'll notice if you look right under my video right here, where you can raise your hand, where you can access chat, where you can put in Q&A, there is a tab that's called resources. And that's another area where you can access the resources. And people are telling me if they had problems downloading resources from the lobby, they could download them from within this section. So if you were having a hard time downloading the resources, make sure that you're aware that you can do it there. There's another thing, another question is about the slides. So far right now, we have put into the presentations note handouts. The PowerPoint presentations are huge, and there's limitations on the size of the files that we can add within Zoom. So you'll be getting a separate email with a link to download all the PowerPoint presentations after the event. We could only put the notes handouts into the event for now. So you'll be getting those later. And then we're going to talk about bingo. I know there was a couple of questions about bingo. We actually have already had 2 bingo winners, which means that they joined us for the pre-party the other night where we explained bingo, and they are aware of it. And that is Lisa Duchesne and Paula Hockman. Congratulations. We will have some bingo prizes for you. You were our first 2 bingo winners, even before the game started. But there is a bingo handout on the downloads area, and right before the first morning break is when we'll explain the bingo in more detail. But with that said, let me go in and talk a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today and why I'm so passionate about this. If you know anything about me, if you've ever seen me speak before, the reason why I'm so committed to helping people with their health is because I lost mine for a very long time. Over 20 years ago, I went through some very significant health challenges, and I was sick for a very long period of time. And I went through conventional treatment, and it seemed no matter how many doctors I went to, how many protocols that I was on, every time they put me on a new protocol, it just meant more treatment. And I got to a point where I was really sick and tired of being sick and tired. We hear that phrase, but I really lived that, where I was truly sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I was in my early 20s when that happened. And what I didn't have happen to me at that time was not one of my healthcare providers talked to me about my lifestyle. Not one of my healthcare providers talked to me about what I was eating. Not one of my healthcare providers talked to me about how I was sleeping, or if I was sleeping, or how I was dealing with my mental health and my stress, right? And so some of you may be able to relate to that, because some of you may be the person that I'm talking about, where you right now are feeling sick and tired and sick and tired, sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you're wondering, what can I do to feel better? And we're going to talk about the fact that we need to pay attention to our food, right? And it really starts with that. Without the proper building blocks of nutrition, our body cannot function the way it was designed to function. So we're going to talk about the fact that because of the way that our foods have changed over the past decades, we have a rise of significant challenges in our health that are related to lifestyle. And we're only starting to hear people talk about lifestyle medicine within the past 10 to 15 years. A new branch of medicine was formed called lifestyle medicine, but most conventional practitioners aren't addressing lifestyle. And that creates a really big opportunity for us to be able to help our loved ones understand that what they put in their mouth or don't put in their mouth matters. How they eat matters. When they eat matters. Whether they exercise or not matters. For those of you that joined us on our morning walk this morning, we talked about some really great actionable steps that you can take that don't cost any money, that everybody has access to just by getting up and going out for a morning light walk. The recording of that is already available. If you missed the session with us this morning, you can go ahead and join that by watching the replay. Maybe on Monday morning, you want to watch that and do the morning walk with us, okay? But let's dig in and talk about how we got to where we are, where conditions related to lifestyle are such an important part of the health story that's not being talked about. Right. And of course, I do need to talk about the fact that the FDA did not review this presentation and that any products that we talk about throughout this weekend are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any diseases. We are going to talk about optimizing our health. We're going to talk about it through lifestyle. We're going to talk about it through diet. And of course, we're going to talk about some supplements that you can take to fill in the blanks where your diet may fall short. So let's talk about the fact that, sometimes people will say, well, my grandmother ate this or my grandfather ate that. But if you go through the grocery store and you actually look at product labels and you pick up the products and you turn them over and you read the ingredients, if you haven't done that in a while, I think that you'll be shocked to find, and I'm going to help you recognize it today, that many of the foods that we're eating today didn't exist in the same form even 20 years ago, right? So the foods that we're eating, especially when we're walking through an aisle like the one in the picture where things are coming in a box or a bag, they contain a lot of preservatives, they contain a lot of processed foods, they contain a lot of ingredients that didn't exist before. So when we talk about it, even some of our fruits and vegetables didn't exist 50 years ago. We've modified the way that we grow food. And so, for example, seedless fruits cannot happen in nature, right? So we're modifying even the fruits and vegetables sometimes, and we need to pay attention to what we're eating. So since I'm talking about processed foods, I want you to understand what I mean by that, because there's different variations in how foods can be processed. Minimally processed foods are foods that you would find typically in nature, like meats or fruits and vegetables that have been ground up or chopped or pasteurized, but they're still recognizable. You still see them kind of in their natural form, even if they're just chopped up into smaller pieces. And then we have some processed culinary ingredients, which are things like seasonings. There are herbs that have been dried. That's still a processing feature, right? We're not just picking it off of the plant and eating it. We're picking it off of the plant and we're drying it. That's still a form of processing. That's not the type of processed food that I'm talking about. What I'm really talking about, and canned foods, for example, when we look at regular processed foods, canned foods can be healthy for you. Canned foods, if you live in an area where you have short growing seasons, to be able to can your food, to be able to preserve them, to have them later in the year, it's still a healthy food for you. What I'm talking about throughout the rest of this presentation, when I talk about processed foods, is really what we would call ultra processed foods. And these are the foods that have been carefully manipulated to have the appropriate amount of fats and sugars and salts to make them so irresistible to us that we really become addicted to them. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes. So these are things that have had added sugars, they've had added oils, they've been pulverized beyond recognition. They're very high in salt, and not a good healthy salt. They're high in processed bleached table salt, right? So just keep that in mind. These are going to be kind of what we are talking about. So ultra processed foods are defined by their very long ingredient list, including additives, preservatives, and artificial sweeteners. And dietary shifts over the past decades have led to an increase in these foods. We live lifestyles of convenience. We probably have more food in our pantry right now with a longer shelf life than our grandparents ever dreamed of. Okay, so when we start talking about the fact that processed foods now account for over 60% of the American diet, we have to be aware, right? We have to be aware that these could have an impact on us that we are not taking into account. So as a result of having so many processed foods in our diet, many of us are eating calorie dense, meaning they're very high in calorie, but they're nutrient poor foods. We're not getting enough nutrition from them. They lack the essential vitamins, minerals, and proteins that we need. So we want to focus on helping people understand the importance of eating whole foods in their natural state or in their minimally processed, perhaps the sun's getting in my eyes, let me scoot over here, perhaps their minimally processed state where they might be dried or they might be crushed or they might be pulverized, but they're still recognizable as real food. When we start looking at what types of foods are added into processed foods, we have high fructose corn syrup, we have artificial sweeteners, we have trans fats, we have preservatives, we have things, you're starting to hear a lot about seed oils on Instagram and through the health influencers. We were talking a lot about health influencers on our walk this morning. And so a lot of them are talking about how so many different types of seed oils have been put into our foods. And that's part of this healthcare trend that happens every once in a while where they're like, what types of fats are healthy for you? And there was a period where they were telling us to avoid animal fats because they were high in saturated fat, and they wanted us to move to more vegetable-based fats. And there are certain vegetable fat-based fats like canola oil, soybean oil. There are different oils that are really made it into the mainstream because not only are they they fit the kind of lower saturated fat diet that was a trend decades ago, but it also was more inexpensive for food manufacturers to put those fats in there. But when you look at labels, you might think to yourself, well, how could like something like Apple Jacks be so bad? I ate Apple Jacks as a kid when I was growing up, and it wasn't bad. But if you take a look at the comparison between Apple Jacks in 1995 and Apple Jacks in 2024, you'll notice that there's a lot more ingredients in the 2024 version than even in the version from 20 years ago. But if you look at the Apple Jacks from 1965, it's very different. We didn't have any of these processed ingredients and preservatives in there. And what's really interesting is there are a lot of other countries that don't allow some of the processed ingredients that we have in our food supply today in their food. So if you look, for example, at the image on the right, you'll see that Australia's ingredients for Apple Jacks are very different from ours. And so we could do this with tons of different foods. I could show you labels across the board and how they compare to their earlier version or their European version or a different version. But what I really want you to get out of that is not the individual foods I'm talking about, but just the fact that we need to be aware of what's on the label and how much are we consuming of preservatives and seed oils and artificial sweeteners and binding agents and flow agents that are not really what we were intended to eat. So if we talk about bread, there's, bread has somewhat been demonized, right? Because many of us follow a low glycemic impact diet, and we want to make sure that if we are going to eat bread, we want to make sure it's a very high fiber bread. But when you look at bread from 60 years ago, the ingredients on bread that people made at home were very simple. It was flour, water, yeast, and salt. That was it. That was it. But now if you take a look at some of the commercially available processed breads, we have an incredible ingredient list on there. It's way more than the couple of ingredients from growing their own sourdough bread when they made it home. We just need to be aware of that because each one of these things, when we think about what we eat throughout the day, right, all of these things add up. And I want to share this with you. It's not on the slide, but I do want to share with you, in the late 80s and early 90s, you may not be aware of this, but there was a big thing of mergers and acquisitions going on. And some of the companies that were buying up a lot of the food companies that produce our processed foods were R.J. Reynolds and Philip Morris, cigarette companies. So when the media started saying and the science started showing that, we really needed to tackle our smoking issue in the country, and they were getting people away from smoking, these big companies that were very cash rich, that had thousands of scientists that worked for them that helped to create the addiction in the nicotine industry and the cigarette industry, they shifted gears, they bought food companies, and then they employed those same scientists to create really tasty foods for us that we just couldn't resist, so that we would purchase more and more and more of these foods. So I see Harvey wrote in the comments, the food industry has some really great lobbyists and politicians in their pockets. And we're starting to hear more and more of that. And I think a lot of people are starting to at least have some awareness that we talk about following the money, and there's a lot of money behind our food industry. But now let's talk about how processed foods impact our health. Well, when we have a lot more processed foods in our diet, we also tend to have a lot more health challenges in our diet. We see an increase in weight management challenges. We see an increase in blood glucose management challenges. We see it being more difficult to lose weight, and people will even try to eat the healthier foods. But if they're eating these processed packaged foods, it's still very nutrient poor and calorie dense. This could also lead to digestive problems. And Dr. D and I think Jim were talking about how the road to health is paved with good intestines. When we don't have good digestion, that creates this whole cascade effect that impacts our immune system, it impacts our mental health, it impacts our energy levels. And then when we don't have energy, then we don't want to have exercise, and it becomes this domino effect where it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, right? And then when we start talking about, this ties into Harvey's comment about the food industry, the marketing behind fast food and processed foods is insane. I mean, I want you to think about the last time that you watched TV that had commercials in it. How many of the commercials promoted a cereal? How many of the commercials promoted a soft drink like a soda? How many of the commercials promoted fast food restaurants? How many of the commercials promoted, to kids that they need to go to this fast food restaurant and be able to get the toy in their kids' meal, right? It's really crazy the amount of marketing that goes into promoting these foods. And even your favorite restaurants, right? You can try to make the same foods that your favorite restaurant makes, but you're probably not going to use as much oil. You're probably not going to use as much salt. You're probably not going to use as much sugar. Remember, their job is to create a repeat customer. And the way that they create a repeat customer is to make it taste better than you can make it taste at home. Because if you saw what actually went into the ingredients, you wouldn't make it the same way. So our emotions are constantly being targeted through this food marketing. They want to be able to show us that there's a quick fix, right? Whether it's a convenience food, whether you're too busy to cook throughout the day, here's a great solution for you. You can eat and socialize at the same time. And they also change the labels. So I just want you to be aware of that. Like this, the whole point of this presentation is we need to think about the fact of what we're eating, who is influencing us on making those food choices, and follow the money, because is the person that's influencing us about making those food choices benefiting from us buying those foods, right? And it's really crazy. And then let's talk about portion distortion. When you start looking at what portion sizes were 20 years ago versus portion size today, it's no wonder that we are eating more than ever before, even though we may not be getting the same nutrient content from it. We're getting a lot more calories, but we might not be getting as much nutrition. And then let's talk about salt. Salt is one of those preservatives that's added to a lot of foods, not only to make them taste better, but to also extend the shelf life. And when you look at your pantry, you put things in your pantry that have 2, 3, 4-year shelf life. Even the bread that you buy, if you've ever made your own bread at home, you know that when you make your own bread at home, it's going to get mold on it in 3 or 4 days. But when you go to the grocery store and you buy a loaf of commercially available bread, that can sit on your counter for 2 weeks and not still get mold on it. Why? Because they add all of these different preservatives in it to keep it from molding, to last longer. And they have, Dr. D says, if your food has a long shelf life, you will have a short shelf life. It is so true. But we get a lot more salt from our diet than we maybe should, and it's of the wrong kind of salt. Because you're going to hear me say later, we actually need more salt in our diet, but we need more mineral-rich, pure, natural salt. Would you be surprised to know that one of our biggest sources of salt in our diet is breads and rolls? Probably pizza. Pizza tastes salty, but bread doesn't really taste salty to most people. Canned foods can also have really high salt intakes. Carmen put in the comments that even a can of pumpkin had, a long expiration date, but there's probably some salt in there as well to preserve the pumpkin to make it last as long. So as a result of us having all of this salt in our diet, and the decision makers about policy, about nutrition, understanding that we eat a lot of these processed foods that have had salt added to them, what ends up happening is they start making recommendation for us to restrict salt. And we're going to talk about that in a few minutes, which is really interesting. And then let's talk about fruits and vegetables. Many of you know, if you follow me on social media, I love to grow my own lettuces. I grow my own herbs. I grow a lot of my own vegetables at home. And I can tell you, and if you've ever had a garden, well, I'll just comment on this. I grow my garden indoors. And the reason for that is because I have so many deer in my backyard that if I grow a garden in my yard, it just feeds my local deer population. So we have an indoor hydroponic garden so that we can make sure that we have enough food inside for us that isn't eaten by the deer. And then we also move it outside and we feed the deer and eat some of it as well. But if you've grown your own garden, you know that there's nothing like a homegrown tomato versus a store-bought tomato. And let's talk about why. Let me just see in the chat. How many of you have ever had a homegrown tomato and been like, oh my goodness, this is the most amazing tomato ever versus a store-bought tomato? Like there's no comparison. Well, the reason for that is when commercial growers are growing, remember, they have to pick the food before it's ripe. Why is that? Because if you grow a tomato at home, when you grow it, when you pick it when it's ripe, it's going to be rotten in about 2 to 3 days. But if they're growing it commercially, they have to have it picked early enough that it can be shipped across the country, stored in a warehouse, put on your grocery store shelf, you purchase it, and then it's got to last in your house for a couple of days. So they are picked early for shipping. They are sprayed with something like ethylene gas to make them turn green so they look appealing to you. They're chemically ripened, and then they lose some of their nutrient content during the shipping process as well. And as a result of that, over farming has also caused the soil to be depleted, which means that the foods that we grow in soil and on trees have a less nutrient content than they did even 50 years ago, as much as 40% less nutrient content that they did. And so if we talk about, for example, spinach has lost 60 to 80% of its iron and calcium. Broccoli contains less calcium than in 1970. Oranges have had a 30% drop in vitamin C, and that's why a lot of people eat oranges, to get vitamin C content. But you would need to eat a lot more oranges today than your grandparents did in order to get the same amount of vitamin C. So our nutrients have been diluted. And this is one of the reasons why you'll hear us talking about how we need to supplement, because even when we're trying to eat as healthfully as possible, we sometimes just have a hard time getting enough nutrition from our food. We also have to make sure that we're trying to minimize as many chemicals as possible in our diet. It's almost impossible to completely minimize them, but when we're focused on it, when we're aware of it, we can make those little choices that add up to make big results. So we want to pay attention to eating organic when we can. We want to make sure that we're getting, whole foods that have been grown preferably locally, because if they're grown preferably locally to you, you know the farmer, you know how they are, they're grown. You can ask them about their soil health, and you can pay attention to, some foods you can eat conventionally grown, some foods you should focus on having organic. So if you just Google, I have them here for you, they'll be in your slides, but the Dirty Dozen or the Clean 15, you just want to pay attention to. Typically, the Dirty Dozens ones are the soft fruits and vegetables that we eat the skin of. And if you look on the Clean, the Clean 15, it are things like we peel, like watermelon. We don't eat the rind of watermelon. So it's a little bit easier for us to avoid the pesticides that were grown on them. Now, I talked about salt a little bit, and I said, not all salt is created equal. Most table salt that you buy, and this is the type of salt that's in the processed foods, is sodium and chloride, and all the other minerals have been stripped away. It's been chemically treated, it's been bleached, it could contain ammonia and aluminum, and it's been heated over 1200 degrees Celsius, which can damage some of the integrity of making it bioavailable for you. Natural sea salts like pink Himalayan or Celtic sea salts contain tons of different minerals, 78 different trace minerals that support hydration, which is really important. It's why we put it in the electrolyte product. Electrolytes and overall bodily function, if they're raw and unprocessed, is better. Now, I shared with you that the policymakers, when it comes to nutrition, do recommend that we limit salt because they're talking about that processed salt from processed food. As a result, the American Heart Association wants us to restrict our salt pretty much. But if you look at this little chart here, there's actually a sweet spot where we want to make sure we're getting enough salt, right, in our diet, but we want it to be mineral rich, pure, unprocessed salt. And that's why something like our Tower electrolytes is going to be really helpful for us. It makes sure that we get the right kind of salt in the right amount so that we can have our body function the way that it's supposed to. So this presentation is called From Progress to Process. So now that we understand that we have these processed foods and we want to make process on moving forward, how do we do that? Well, we want to make sure that we are limiting our refined grains. We're replacing sugary beverages as much as possible with water. We want to make sure that we're choosing fresh vegetables and fruits, that we hydrate before coffee, as Julie said. I think that's great. I have mine here as well. I have my Tower Plus with me. And that we stay shopping the perimeter of the grocery store. If it comes in a bag, if it comes in a box, it's probably going to fall into the ultra processed category. And we need to be prepared, because the reason why most people switch to foods of convenience is because they're stressed. They have limited time. They don't necessarily have a lot of time to prepare a big meal. And so one of the ways that we can avoid stopping for fast food is to meal prep, to make sure that we have food available to us that's easy and quick to access in our refrigerator. That when we go somewhere, we pack our own food with us. Even it's holiday season time right now. If you still go to the mall, and I think most of you probably shop online if you're on this webinar with us today, but if you do still go to the mall or you go shop locally at little boutique stores in your area, pack a cooler in your car and have fresh made snacks and foods and hard-boiled eggs and veggie sticks with you, fresh fruit with you in the car. And then I did see somebody say, go take a Go Trim shake. I'm going to talk about that again in a second. And make sure when you do go out that you read labels. With what I'm talking about, I'm going to encourage you to, next time that you're out running around and you have to stop and get gas, I want you to walk into the gas station food mart. And I want you to actually just do an inventory of how much of the food mart is actually unprocessed food. I think you'll be pretty surprised to see how little of the food that they sell in a food mart at the gas station is actually food. Most of it is very, very, very processed. So you can take Go Trim nutrition shakes with you on the go, right? Have it mixed up in your bottle, take it with you. 19 grams of protein, 10 grams of fiber, keeps you full and energized, plus gives you 24 essential vitamins and minerals with no added sugar, and it's very convenient. When you plan ahead, even when you're out doing the holiday shopping, running around, doing your crazy errands, there's no need to stop at a convenience store and get food of convenience. This is your food of convenience, right? And when you read the reviews, people just absolutely love them. Shelly wrote, talk about over deliver. I can't believe how delicious and nutritious this Go Trim pumpkin spice shake is. Both my husband and I were pleasantly surprised. We prefer blending with water and ice. I prefer milk. Either way, it's so good. Read the reviews, right? There's so many people that just absolutely love these products. And we talked about the fact that we need to pay attention to what we're eating. If you're not sure what to eat, if you're not sure how to switch from the processed diet you're currently eating to one of progress, the Go Trim lifestyle teaches you how to take those steps, and those little steps really add up. So not only do you have personalized support with the meal plans and the recipes and the education that's on the Go Trim website, but you have product integration, and it helps you develop long-term habits. And I just love some of the success stories that are on the Go Trim website. Here's when I feel, I'm 37, but I feel like I'm in my 20s. In the past, I would work out and lose weight, but when something in life would take me down, I would start to feel depressed. Then I would continue to eat more and more and gain the weight back. With TLS, now Go Trim, I feel like I'm capable of anything. I'm 37, but I feel like I'm in my 20s. There were many obstacles to overcome, including not consuming alcohol, breads, sodium, and sugar, all things that we just talked about. But I knew my end results of a healthier lifestyle would be worth it. Plus, my coach helping me, I knew I always had someone supporting me. Now eating, my habits have changed, and I feel like I'm no longer missing out. And then supplementation is the necessity disguised as a luxury, right? To keep things simple, make sure we're getting our daily essentials in, hydrate, and prepare with your Go Trim shakes. Daily essentials. How many of you in a chat, how many of you absolutely love the daily essentials? I want to see it in the chat. Let's engage there, please. How many of you use the daily essentials packets, take them with you. You can throw them in a water bottle, mix them up, complete on the go nutrition. And we already talked about the Tower electrolyte mix. I shared with you, I have it in mind. Julie talked about it. Read those reviews. And then the road to health being paved with good digestion or good intestines, we need to focus on digestive support. You can use things like Oxygen Extreme and the HepatoCleanse to help combat the processed food that you've had over the past decades and that still will creep into your diet because it's almost impossible to miss them, to skip them completely. Every choice matters. Small changes really add up. Eat whole unprocessed foods, limit the packaging, and supplement as needed. Now, I started this off by saying you get to help other people do this. So it's important that you share what you're learning today with your friends and family. Your journey to progress starts now. Be the change, live the lifestyle, inspire others, and thank you very much.
Absolutely amazing, Brandy. Thank you so much. Big round of applause in the chat for Brandy. Put some love in there. Absolutely amazing. I don't want to exaggerate too much, but man, I feel like you've already gotten your value out of Product Symposium, and we've just scratched the surface a little bit. One of my responsibilities as your MC is to kind of just recap some of what the speakers are saying for you, maybe touch on some of the finer points. Super hard to do that when all of that information is so valuable. I will say this, that may have been perhaps the worst time in the world I've ever picked to snack on some honey wheat braided pretzels that we had in the kitchen with every bite, and I didn't stop. But with every bite, I just felt more shameful and shameful as I tasted the beautiful bread and salt in my mouth. She started by saying sick and tired of being sick and tired. I think that's a great thing as a conversation starter over the holiday period. If you could just say to somebody, I was just sick and tired of being sick and tired. And again, you get to borrow Randy's story. You get to borrow Dr. D's story. You get to borrow stories that you hear and learn at these seminars, okay? I'll say this to you. If your grocery store has a health food section, what's that make the rest of the store, right? I mean, you got to be careful. You got to make better choices, and it's super important. I love that she mentioned the domino effect, that your bad or poor food choices leads to a lack of energy, which of course then subsequently leads to lack of motivation or exercise or movement. And eventually we just kind of meld into the couch, right? We just become one with that. And then, keep in mind who's influencing our choices. Super important. Portions. I've been blessed to travel the world. First time I went to Japan, one of my favorite countries in the world. We had breakfast. They put it down. I wanted to ask the waiter if someone had eaten half of it before they brought it to the table, because their portions are so much smaller. When my friends from Japan come here, they can't believe American portions. They just can't believe that that's not a family meal as opposed to a single serving. And then, man, the term chemically ripened, right? I mean, think about that the next time, Jim, you're eating some health foods that you think are healthy. So it really is a lot of information in Brandy's segment. One of the things I love about the Product Symposium is that you'll be able to access each of these different segments individually. So if you have someone that wants to just hear what Brandy was talking about, you'll be able to access that and have them watch that with you, or perhaps with Dr. D. Or perhaps you're going to have someone who's going to be incredibly interested in what our next speaker is going to talk about, which really is using the gut as a foundation for health, right? And that's super important. We've got an incredible list of professionals that are with you this weekend. But I don't think I'm out on too far of a limb when I say perhaps this next speaker is one of our most recognized just the litany of things. Former USDA nutritional program leader for nutrition, PhD and analytical chemistry. That sounds fun. Over 25 years of nutritional research experience, funded by the NIH, the National Institute of Health, the EPA, the FDA. She's authored over 70 publications. She holds a patent, which may very well be for, when you see her background, Christmas tree decorating. She's got an absolutely stunning Christmas tree in her house. And so she's a community-based nutrition educator and consultant. She's a Go Trim lifestyle coach and trainer. And of course, she's part of our Nutrimetrics clinical faculty. Please help welcome to the Product Symposium, Dr. Nancy Miller-Ely. Nancy.
Thanks, Jim. Hi, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation to participate in the Product Symposium. Jim explained that I was with USDA and I served as the National Program Leader for Nutrition with them. One thing that's really important to know in light of what Brandy was talking about is that you all do have influence in what you want your food supply to look like. Every time you check out with the little barcodes at the grocery store, they actually track that. And there's huge numbers of people, and it's a big whole separate industry. And that's why you'll see over time things have become more affordable, because if you want organic foods, if you want high quality foods, if you want to move from processed to more progressive and healthier foods, you have that option now. And so all I can say is you really do have influence, and you get to vote every time you purchase something. So we might pay a little bit more to have high quality foods, but it will set a trend and we can move back in a healthier direction. I get to talk today about gut health and being beyond digestion. Dr. D indicated that I would, give you a little bit of my background. I worked for USDA for more than 25 years. I did research on absorption and bioavailability, which is why I'm a big fan of our isotonics delivery system. You have tablets, you've got capsules, you've got the isotonic. And at the end of the day, that's the single thing that really drew me to this company, along with the advanced quality assurance and quality control and their commitment to excellence. But when we talk about our own health, one of the challenges that I faced, in addition to being overweight, I really had incredibly poor digestive wellness. And that was a result of some medical treatments associated with some seizures that I had. But at the end of the day, I was able to get that back under control. And I think people don't really appreciate that gut health is so much more than just, your digestion. So what we're going to talk about today is, the gut as sort of a cornerstone to health just in general. Because what we need to do is we need to be strategic with what we're eating. And we need to balance out the ecosystem of trillions of bacteria, fungi, and other microorganisms that actually live in our GI tract. So you might not know this, but the human gut contains over 100 trillion microorganisms. So it outnumbers human cells by a factor of 10. Your gut is really sort of your second brain. It has its own nervous system, the enteric nervous system, and that contains over 100 million neurons. So when people say, well, my gut, I get anxious and I always feel it in my gut. That's because that signal of anxiety from your brain is directly connected with your gut. There are many people who would not want to be, doing a live stream Zoom for hundreds of people, right? That might make their gut a little bit upset. And so that just shows the direct connection. The gut microbiome has 150 times more genes than the human genome. So think about that for a second. We always say when we talk about genetic diversity, your genes are not your destiny. You can turn up the good stuff and turn down the bad stuff. And that's really what we want to do. And your gut also serves as a hub for your immune system. Like 70 to 80% of your immune function is the result of having a healthy or an unhealthy gut. So sometimes, I think when we talk to people and we're trying to help people, which is definitely a theme for all of us involved in the product symposium, we want to jump to their particular challenge they want to work on. Oh, you're overweight, you need a Go Trim product. Oh, you're not sleeping well, you need, what our Prime Dreams product. Oh, you want to work on another aspect of your health. So digestion is really the place to start. Dr. D outlined that in her talk this morning. If we get the gut right, then many things will improve. But even with amazing supplements, right, if the gut's not in a position to receive them, and if you don't have good gastrointestinal integrity, then you're not going to be able to get the maximum nutrient absorption. So really working with the gut first is really the most important thing. And many of us who are Go Trim coaches just inherently, naturally do that. Coach Corinne does that. Coach Pam, Barb, Julie Landseedle. We all know that we have to focus on the gut first and get the gut healthy. And then we can move forward with other, goals associated with achieving and maintaining a healthy weight. But nutrient absorption is like one of the key things. And sometimes people are like, you've heard Dr. D say, if it's an essential nutrient, you have to take it because we can't make it. Well, the gut actually can make a couple of nutrients. It can make vitamin K, it can also make B12, but making the B12 doesn't help much because it gets absorbed in the small intestine and it gets made in the large intestine. So it's in the wrong place. But we do want to make sure that we set ourselves up so that we can, the bacteria that make vitamin K are menaquinone, and they're really, it's powerful, but we need to have the right balance to be able to make it. And when we talk about immune function, your intestine's coated with like billions of microorganisms and cells that provide the body with a filter so that we can keep out unwanted toxins. It's your first line of defense. We had friends visiting for the weekend, and she has 2 grandkids, and they go to, preschool and kindergarten. And, she's constantly being exposed to those, the little bugs from the little kids. And, she works hard to maintain good immune function. And I'm happy to help her with that, because she knows that by providing that, having good gut integrity, she can reduce her risk. And then finally, blood sugar and thyroid function. Your gut bacteria actually regulate your glucose metabolism and also responsible for your thyroid hormone health. So we want to make sure that people are aware of that, because that can impact your energy and also your weight. So let's talk about the gut-brain connection for a minute. Did you know that the gut actually produces your neurotransmitters? I like to always talk about serotonin, the feel-good brain chemical, or GABA. They both affect mood and emotional well-being. Well, if we don't have, good digestive wellness, then we're not going to be able to generate those neurotransmitters. Gut health also influences melatonin production and your circadian rhythm. You started the day, or we started the day. I personally didn't, because I was getting ready for this, but we had the early morning walk, and you want to have the exposure to the first morning light. That helps to establish your circadian rhythm. And having a good circadian rhythm also supports better sleep quality. Sleep is really, I can't tell you guys how often that ends up being the focus of my discussion when working with people and coaching them, because a lot of times people just underestimate it. They're like, I'll sleep when I'm dead, or, there's not enough hours in the day. We all have our reasons, or our, I'm going to say, excuses for not, getting the right amount of sleep. But I can promise you that if you make that a priority, a lot of other things will fall in line. And you can see here that sleep regulation is also influenced by gut health. So if you get those 2 things right, you're going to have a huge advantage in terms of making progress on any of your other goals, whether it's exercise performance, or whether it's, weight loss, or whatever, improving just overall well-being. Also, people don't really talk enough about this, but certain gut bacteria help to promote satiety. We talk about leptin and ghrelin, the I'm hungry, I'm full hormones. But at the end of the day, I'm going to show you that in our probiotics, for example, we have some skinny bugs, and we want to make sure that people understand that, certain gut bacteria can actually help with satiety, reducing cravings, enhancing your metabolism, and also aiding in what we can consider to be sustainable weight control. Because it's not just enough to lose the weight, right, you guys? You have to want to keep it off. And we have to have strategies in place to do that. We want it to become just part of our lifestyle. I'll tell you my story tomorrow about weight loss and weight management. I think it just fits better with the Go Trim story, actually. But a big part, again, of my success with my health was in improving, my overall digestive wellness. Well, you guys understand that making change requires energy, right? It's not easy. We all really would prefer to have the opportunity to be able to just make a change and then it just sticks, right? Well, diet has the most significant influence on your gut health. So the things that you can do in terms of like dietary choices is to make sure you include fiber-rich foods. You want to reduce processed foods, and you want to incorporate fermented food products as well. When we talk about lifestyle modifications, well, stress management is really key. And it always cracks me up when people say, well, you shouldn't be stressed by that. If somebody's stressed, they're stressed. So how we handle that, is going to make a difference. And if we have chronic stress, it will negatively affect your gut permeability, and it can lead to something called leaky gut. It's just not a good thing. When we have leaky gut, then the material from your gastrointestinal tract can actually leave your GI tract, and you don't really want, Jim doesn't need his honey Cheerio pretzel things in his elbow, right? So at the end of the day, it's not quite that dramatic, but we want to make sure that we have good gut integrity, because that's also going to enhance nutrient absorption. And then sleep hygiene. Adequate sleep, again, is essential for gut microbiome balance. So we want to make sure, and the amount of sleep is dependent on the individual. We have these general rules or guidelines that you hear all the time. Everybody needs 8 hours. We really mostly sleep in 90-minute sleep cycles. So most people do better with 6 hours, 7.5 hours, 9 hours, actually than 8. But, everybody has to figure that out for themselves, but it's good to be mindful about it. Consistent supplementation, I think, is one of the things that's most important for overall gut health and supporting gut function, because we want to make sure that we ensure microbiome diversity, and then we want to maintain it once we've got it. It's easy to get it out of balance, you guys. People, end up, for good reason, being prescribed an antibiotic or a steroid, and then that can cause some imbalance. Brandy talked about the processed foods. That can most definitely cause an imbalance. So we have to make a conscious effort with our food and with supplementation to get things back in balance and then to maintain it. And then you do need some physical activity to support microbiome diversity and exercise recovery. So the 4 key things, your focus factors when we talk about good digestive health, are, first of all, your diet. And we want a diet rich in fiber that's going to support regular bowel movements and provide prebiotics for gut bacteria. So, prebiotics are what the probiotics feed on. And then the leftovers after your body has utilized the prebiotics and probiotics are something called postbiotics. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. In addition to diet, we want to have good hydration. So it's good that Julie drinks her water before she even has her coffee. And we want to be mindful about the fact that we want to, take in adequate water each day. It's necessary, one, have the right consistency of stool, and so that we can just, flush the toxins from our system each day. Probiotics and prebiotics. The probiotics are, if you're going to try to consume those, you'd find those in fermented foods. And so what would that be? That would be like something like kimchi, or if you like kombucha or sauerkraut. All of those are fermented foods. And then the prebiotics are found in your high fiber foods. And that's what contributes to a balanced gut microbiome and, good digestion. And then mindful eating is a practice that I highly recommend for people. People oftentimes don't really focus on, we're just hurrying, right? And we sit down in front of the TV and grab something to eat. And I personally don't do that, but I know a lot of people do that. So, eating slowly and mindfully actually allows your digestive system to process the food. The enjoyment of food is not just the taste of it. It's, it's seeing it. It's how colorful it is. Is it nicely prepared? Is it well seasoned? It's all of that. And if you take your time to eat it, then you're going to have the benefit of being able to, appreciate all of that and really gain the benefit. It also gives your brain the time to get the signal that you're full so that you can avoid, overeating. So, what goes first? So let's talk about, now we're going to move into talking about our products, right? Because the products that we have that are going to support this are really important that people understand kind of like in what order, what goes first, and where do we start. So first is fiber intake. And the fiber helps to feed the beneficial bacteria. It promotes bowel regularity, and it aids in the production of short chain fatty acids, so things like, butyrate. And the recommendation for this is our NutriClean Advanced Fiber Powder for optimum fiber intake. And in the chat, I would just love to see, what people think. Do you all, how many of you are using the fiber powder? Do you guys love the fiber powder? If you can go ahead and just put that in there, that'll be helpful. Then the second product that we want to talk about, and I will talk about, is digestive enzymes. So the digestive enzymes are just like, I think they're the Mac Daddy. And if I want to introduce somebody to digestive health support products, I want to make sure that they know about our digestive enzymes for comprehensive enzymatic support, because too many people don't eat enough fresh fruits and vegetables. And a lot of people really just don't understand why they're, they take a multivitamin, but what do they take? They take, Bob's, discount vitamin, and they're like, multivitamins don't work. Well, they're not breaking them down. They don't have good gastrointestinal health. So they're not able to actually break down a pill or a tablet. It's also another reason, why our isotonics delivery system is just so amazing. And then probiotics are really powerful. And we love our probiotics 10 because it's 10 different strains with 10 billion colony forming units to provide a broad spectrum of beneficial strains. So, here's the thing, you guys. Dr. D and the team at Nutrimetrics Market America does a really good job of doing the research. They're going to pick out things that they know have good research behind them and that are, for a key ingredient, they want to make sure it's going to have, good integrity and quality assurance, quality control. But they also look at the delivery system. And you're going to see as we talk about this, why that's sort of important and why our probiotics are so special. Wouldn't you love to have a probiotic that can make it through the whole digestive system without being broken down and get to the right part of your GI tract so that it can actually deliver a benefit? It's just huge. All right. So butyrate supplementation. So our advanced digestive support product, I think, is one of the most underutilized products that's out there. You want to, support your gut barrier integrity. We want to reduce inflammation, and we want to promote metabolic health. A lot of people are talking about berberine. They're talking about butyrate. People are talking about GLP-1s. This is a great approach to provide a support by providing the butyrate with our advanced digestive support. And then finally, aloe. Okay, who loves our aloe? If you can put your favorite flavor right in the chat, I would love to see that. But I'm hoping not everybody's going to pick just the plain, which I refer to as the yucky flavor. Oh, good, there's lots of strawberry kiwi. You guys are normal. This is good. Good audience, like the audience today. So here's the thing. We've got these 5 key products. So let's talk a little bit more about them. The average American gets about 10 to 15 grams of fiber a day. USDA recommends 25 grams a day for women and 38 grams for men. So everybody needs to be at a higher fiber intake. You can get it from your food, but we also have an amazing dietary fiber product, which we'll talk about. When we talk about fiber-rich food sources, you've got oats and legumes and fruits and vegetables and whole grains. And the effect is that it's going to provide increased, bulk in your stool, which is good, and it's going to promote regularity. But I think the most important thing that fiber really does is that it serves as a prebiotic. So it's what our probiotics feed on. So it's absolutely critical, you guys. Allison, don't be telling me the no sugar. I get what you're saying. It's a very clean product, but okay, Team Natural Aloe. We'll have to talk. In any regard, when we talk about probiotic foods, I mentioned yogurt and sauerkraut and kimchi. The effect of that is that it's going to introduce live beneficial bacteria to your gut ecosystem in a very natural way. The prebiotic foods that you could eat are things like garlic and onions. All the alliums are good, asparagus, bananas. And that's going to provide food for your probiotics. And then, of course, we do need omega-3 fatty acids because that supports a healthy gut lining. So that's awesome. So we can have big impact with the foods that we choose, but we can also provide supplementation, and that's going to provide, an additional level of support. So again, this is just positioning it in a slightly different format, but the prebiotics are what the probiotics are going to feed on. So that's what's going to help feed and maintain the beneficial bacteria in a good level. And then the probiotics help restore and maintain a balanced microbiome. Your probiotics are responsible for blood sugar maintenance. They have a lot of benefits in terms of our daily functioning and our physiology. And then the postbiotics, such as the short chain fatty acids, that we were talking about in our advanced digestive wellness support product. The postbiotics complement the effects of the prebiotics and postbiotics. So some people talk about like a postbiotic is kind of the leftovers. It's the waste products from the prebiotics and probiotics, but they still confer a health benefit, which I think is pretty cool. So when we talk about a complete biotic, it's the prebiotics plus probiotics plus postbiotics. And when we talk about that, Fibersol 2 is a really well-researched ingredient, which is in our fiber powder. It's also in our Go Trim shakes. And it's a resistant starch. So it's a kind of starch that doesn't get broken down in the small intestine. You can get it from foods like green bananas or plantains and cooked and cooled rice or potatoes. I'm not really promoting the rice potato thing because of the high glycemic impact. But the best food sources really would be like a green banana. But I think the best source actually is our NutriClean Advanced Fiber Powder. The fiber powder confers additional benefits because it also is going to contain some probiotics. The benefits of our fiber powder that it can help regulate appetite by increasing feelings of fullness. It can blunt food cravings. It can support healthy triglycerides and satiety. It promotes bowel regularity and colon health, and it supports healthy glucose and lipid metabolism. So you'll get 5 grams of the fiber sol 2 in our fiber product. We also have, inulin fiber, which is a soluble prebiotic fiber found in chicory and onions and garlic. It feeds the bifidobacteria in particular, so it supports good microbiota balance. Fermented by gut bacteria to produce short-chain fatty acids like the butyrate that we were talking about. It supports the body's ability to absorb essential minerals like calcium and magnesium, and it supports healthy intestinal regularity. So the NutriClean fiber powder has 5 grams of the inulin as well. Then it's got the probiotic blend that I mentioned. It's got lactobacillus and bifidobacteria, which support immune function and maintain microbial balance. The probiotics work with the fiber hand in hand to support the activity of your microbiome for digestion. And we support a balanced immune response as well. This fiber powder also contains L-glutamine, which is a precursor to glutathione, the master antioxidant. So, to have 1,000 milligrams of that in there. So just to be clear, the fiber powder has way more in it than just fiber. It's also got the probiotics, right? And it's also got the L-glutamine. And so, 1.5 billion colony forming units of good bugs. It just adds extra bang for your buck, okay, here. So it promotes good bacterial growth. So that's clear that that's super important for us, and we want to keep things in balance. So the fiber powder also, as I mentioned, is a blend of fiber and probiotics. But the third part is the most important part. And Colin was explaining to me yesterday, Colin said that, if you want to download the brown load, then you've got to make sure that you avoid constipation by using our fiber powder. So that's why our fiber powder also is a part of our NutriClean 7-day cleanse kit as well, which is very, very popular with our Go Trim programs. So the fiber powder overall can provide incredible balance, okay, for general gut health and just general overall health, okay? So we've got 5 grams of inulin, we've got 5 grams of fiber sol, and when you look over on the label, you'll see that it's 90% fiber. So that means there's 4.5 grams of actual, fiber per the label requirements. So you're getting 9 grams total fiber from these 10 grams total source. You've got 1.5 billion colony forming units of those 4 key strains of probiotics, and then also 1 gram of L-glutamine there. So who should use it? I think everybody on here, you've already seen that a lot of people have commented it's one of their favorite products. But the fiber powder, it's not just for when you're constipated. It's not just for people who want to, detoxify. It's for anybody. It's for good bowel health. It's for high stress. It's for people with limited time. It's for people that don't eat enough vegetables and want to make sure they're getting that in. It's for people with high protein diets that don't have that balance. It's for anybody who wants to support their immune health. It's for people who are physically active. And for people that want better skin health as well. So, definitely you're gonna want to make sure that the fiber powder's on your shelf. Let's talk about our digestive enzymes for just a minute with the probiotics. When we talk about the pursuit of tonal wellness, relying on synergy between digestive enzymes, the microbiome, and lifestyle choices. So there are no get out of jail free cards, you guys. But when we talk about digestive enzymes, it's close because a lot of times people may not be aware that something is a trigger for them. Maybe they've had some food sensitivity, and so they feel ill after they eat something. What can you do to try to clean things up as best you can? Well, the digestive enzymes with probiotics are going to help to break down anything so that we can maximize the absorption of the essential nutrients that fuel every one of our cells. The enzymes are going to also, make sure we keep things in balance. And when we supplement with plant-based enzymes, it restores harmony, enhancing nutrient absorption, gut health, and overall vitality. So when we talk about the function of the enzymes, they break down complex food molecules into smaller absorbable components. So, cellulase is going to break down cellulose. We'll go through with some of the ingredients here. But the enzymes work in a specific manner, So they target the protein, the fat, and the carbohydrates, your macros, to be able to go ahead and get them broken down to enhance nutrient absorption. Our bodies do produce enzymes, but your vegetables and colorful foods are one of the most important sources, but it needs to be fresh fruits and vegetables, things that are cooked extensively, or the enzymes would not be alive. So we want mineral-rich foods to contribute to digestive comfort, nutrient breakdown, and also to utilization. The benefit of digestive enzymes are that they're going to enhance nutrient absorption. So many people out there, you guys, will tell you, I've got some GI issues, or people talk about having, reflux or other things. And these products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent disease. But having said that, these products are amazing in terms of being able to provide people with the best chance to the enzymes to absorb the nutrients that they are taking in. It can also help ease occasional stomach upset. I'm pretty sure that Jim Dwyer had digestive enzymes available last Thursday when it was Thanksgiving, right? Because we want to make sure that we feel fine. And then potential clients or anybody that wants to maximize their nutrition, people that don't make great dietary choices, people that complain of occasional stomach upset. And then when you're traveling, I would never travel without taking the digestive enzymes with me, because sometimes I get exposed to different water or something in that I'm exposed to in foods that are, that are a trigger for me. And the digestive enzymes are incredibly helpful for that. When we have a healthy gut, we already talked about the benefit of improving our immune function and our sleep, and also mental and emotional balance, as well as insulin sensitivity. So your gut biome and its ecosystem are the first response team for cardiovascular and metabolic balance. So pause and think about that for a second. Dr. D talked about, when you have blood tests done and you're looking at, results and, liver function, how important that is. Just think about the fact that your gut health actually impacts your heart health. Pretty important, you guys. And so I think if you're not spending enough time on your digestive health, this is a great opportunity to hit pause and make sure that you really plan for that, and that you make sure that you have the products on hand to support it. So in our enzymes, we have this amazing stuff called digozyme, which is a proprietary blend of amylase, protease, cellulase, lactase, and also lipase enzymes. So it also contains lactospore, which is a special Bacillus coagulans probiotic strain. When you have something as a spore, a lot of times people say, well, you don't have very good probiotics if they're not refrigerated. Well, that's just not true. You can provide longevity. You can provide, make a probiotic more hardy and protected from its environments, like the acid in your stomach, by using it in the spore form. And so it's great because, again, we have something that's so unique that other people don't have. It's got sucrase to break down sucrose, magnesium, which is definitely an essential nutrient, and then also potassium to help with electrolyte and fluid balance and muscle function. So, again, these are the allowable, claims for the digestive enzymes, but it's really important for nutrient absorption and for balanced gut microbiome. And it's really good for achieving, alleviating digestive discomfort, such as bloating or gas, and promoting better digestion and well-being. And it sets the foundation for energy, immune response, and resilience, and long-term vitality, which is what we all want. We want to be the best version of ourselves every single day. And the digozyme, again, is this proprietary blend of amylase, lactase, cellulase, lipase, and protease. And this group of enzymes are resistant to the action of your gastric juices. So we drink it in. And by the way, although it's labeled as an isotonic product, you don't have to be too worried about the exact mixing of the amounts. This is the one time where we get a pass on that. We really just need to get it mixed with the water and get it into our system. It's going to bypass all the stomach acid, make it to where it needs to in the intestinal tract so that we can gain a benefit. The lactospore is a lactic acid producing microbial preparation. And its lactospore is good because it's also a shelf-stable probiotic, super important for us. And it helps to support gut microflora, and it helps to germinate and proliferate within the GI tract. And it's what supports the short-chain fatty acids that are so important to us, like the butyrate. It's a comprehensive enzyme blend. So when we talk about the competition and advantages, many different proper products out there do not have all of the same, diversity in terms of the enzymes. it includes probiotics, and in particular, it features the lactospore. And it's isotonic delivery system, so it enhances the absorption efficiency and speed. And it does use the digozyme, which is that special acid stable and gluten-free plant-based full spectrum enzyme complex, which is, so as we would say, it's the bomb, right? So when we talk about gut health, your gut is, again, home to all these trillions of bacteria. And we want to make sure that the gut microbiome, which influences everything from digestion and nutrient absorption to immune function and even your mood. Think of what kind of mood people might be in today, right? With the hassles of the holidays and everything, and the excitement of the holidays too, if they don't have good mood regulation, well, a good gut is the kind of the first step in that. And when we have a delicate ecosystem and it gets disrupted, it can lead to different health issues beyond just bad mood or irritable digestion. It can actually set you up for, being more susceptible to exposure to disease and stuff. So the microbiome's role in nutrient synthesis, probiotics help maintain the microbial balance in the gut, and they replenish the gut's beneficial bacteria. Then the healthy gut microbiome enhances our ability to absorb nutrients, and potentially supporting the efficacy of multivitamins. And then it also plays a critical role in synthesizing essential nutrients, as I mentioned. So here's our Probiotics 10 product. And it's overwhelmingly great for beneficial digestive health. Studies have shown that adding probiotics to your diet have a lot of different health benefits. And clinical studies specifically indicate that lactobacilli and bifidobacteria supplements support intestinal epithelial integrity and healthy immune response. It's a lot of fancy words, right? The intestinal epithelial integrity, but the epithelial cells which line your gastrointestinal tract are the ones that we want to make sure that they're in good shape. And we want to make sure that we are not prone to, leaky gut or any challenge to the integrity of the gastrointestinal lining. And that's what we're doing here with this. The Probiotics 10 stand out because of the diversity of strains and total bacteria. And, a lot of different products on the market deliver a high probiotic count, but some only have 1 or 2 strains. In contrast, we have 10 carefully selected strains, each of which play a unique role, and all of which are important for, overall health. It's so interesting to me that sometimes people will bring me a bottle and they'll say, oh, but yours has 10 billion colony forming units. We have 100 billion. But a lot of times they don't have it in a form that's going to be able to make it through the acid of the stomach. So they put more in so they have a better chance of the bugs making it to where they need to be able to actually have a health impact. So more is not better. You really do need to understand exactly, how it works. So we've got the Lactobacillus casei, which helps with stress and mood. We've got the salivarius, which populates throughout the mouth and the small intestine and the large intestine. We've got skinny bugs, and who doesn't want that, right? Everybody that's part of our GoTrim system really wants to have the benefit of the different lactobacilli strains. And then we've got some super fermenters, and super fermenters offer, advantages to us as well. So why do we want Probiotics 10? It's a diverse bacterial ecosystem. It's going to help optimize digestion, help us with nutrient absorption, enhance immune function, and balance our hormones. And we've got 500 different species working together in our gut to promote the integrity. pH balance is super important as well for your body, you guys, and probiotics make a difference on that. They're going to support better overall health, making it, easier to have good energy, mood, and then long-term well-being. So the key is choosing formulations that are designed to withstand the digestive environment and deliver viable probiotics. The survival rate, of commercial probiotics varies. I mentioned that some of them have huge counts in terms of numbers of bacteria, but the reason that they have that is because they're not stable. Also, I mentioned about people will say, oh, well, if it's not a refrigerated probiotic, then it's no good. But think about that, you guys. It's got to get from the manufacturer to the health food store where they put it in the refrigerator. Then you've got to drive it home. I always feel bad when I'm talking to moms who, have kids who they're giving probiotics to, and they're like, I left it on the counter this morning. Well, when she gets home from work and the kids get home from school, that probiotic's not going to be any good. So having something that's shelf stable, something that we can store at room temperature, something that we can travel with. What do people that use refrigerated probiotics do when they travel? So, I mean, it just makes sense. Our Probiotics 10 is an incredibly powerful product that I hope all of you are using. Why don't you just pop in the chat if you are a Probiotics 10 user, just put 10 in the chat, and then we'll get a sense of how many people are using. Yeah, that's good. I'm checking on some of you guys. I'm recognizing these names. It's good to see this. Great. So the benefits are for weight management. It's actually going to help us to manage fat stores in the body. It's going to obviously support our weight loss efforts. I showed you the skinny bugs, and it helps to maintain normal cholesterol levels, which has the benefit for weight management as well as heart health. Stress and health, it helps our bodies adapt to stress. It's going to support oral health and healthy teeth. You know, sometimes people don't really appreciate how much oral health impacts our overall health. It also supports a healthy urinary tract. And that's really important, you know, for individuals and also using the Probiotics 10 can also support vaginal health. And then it's generally going to also help with general overall wellness. Skin health is influenced by probiotics, as is being the key to a healthy digestion. So for digestive health support, it's great, helps balance the body with healthy bacteria. It's going to promote bowel regularity and colon health. So it's going to also help with Colin's efforts. And it's also going to promote stomach comfort. So probiotics they're not like something that you take like digestive enzymes that you get this like immediate kind of response, right? But probiotics are something that you want to be taking on an ongoing basis so that as you encounter things that could be disruptive to your gastrointestinal balance, you've got it on board. And I already mentioned that it can help with healthy vaginal flora and pH. So definitely something that women want to make sure that we have on board. So I love it. It's the reason it's competitive, you guys, is because we have 10 strains. So that gives us a really broad spectrum approach. And it supports different health areas. So everything from digestive health to immune function to vaginal flora and more. And it's the advanced delivery technology, allowing it to be shelf stable, you know, for storage, and then also to be able to travel with it and transport it is amazing. And it's got a higher viability because of its resilience as it goes through the digestive process to get where it needs to be to work. And then the delivery technology is amazing. Short chain fatty acids, also really super important. I talked about butyrate, and we really need to appreciate that it helps with everything from detoxification to enhancing brain function. So the short chain fatty acids are absorbed by the cells lining the colon, and they enter the bloodstream. And they're important for neurotransmitter signaling and regulation of cellular function. And also, short chain fatty acids travel throughout the body, influencing different physiological processes and contributing to overall health. So the gut, your colon's preferred fuel is actually butyrate. And you can't just like, it's not like you're going to find foods that are going to enhance this particularly. So it's better to make sure that we have short chain fatty acids to ensure that we have the gut microbiome balanced and we're enhancing the growth of the beneficial bacteria. And we want to also make sure that because these compounds help with gut motility, that's how fast the food moves through your GI tract, and blood sugar health, that we have them on board. Dr. D talked about liver health earlier. So, you know, butyrate is primarily metabolized in the gut where it sends signals to the liver for blood sugar and energy balance. So butyrate, again, is supporting that. It also helps with cholesterol synthesis. And sometimes people think cholesterol is just all bad. We need cholesterol in our bodies. And so we want to have the right amount, and we want to have it, synthesized in a steady rate. And butyrate can also influence different appetite factors through different mechanisms and even gene regulation. When we talk about the gut-brain axis, you know, butyrate serves as a precursor for the neurotransmitter GABA. So we talked earlier about serotonin. Serotonin and GABA are what's going to make us feel good and be able to be resilient and to be able to, you know, manage multiple different competing priorities. So it really does potentially influence, our brain function and behavior. And when we talk about it, it's a two-way street. You know, the gut produces transmitters that affect mood, but then we also have the vagus nerve. It's a direct communication pathway between the gut and the brain. We also have immune system modulation responses, which can affect our brain function. and then stress responses. So all of this is a complex network, you guys. And if we want to be the best version of ourselves, again, the take-home message is we want to use these different digestive support products. And in particular, this the core biome, the active ingredient of tributyrin in the advanced digestive support product, that combined with the berberine is huge, because we're going to have better, gut health. We're going to also have our better brain function, better energy, and we're going to be able to support our wellness and weight loss goals. I know some of you have heard of berberine referred to as nature's Ozempic. It's not exactly that, but it is a very powerful product, and it does support healthy insulin activity. So it is very important. And I think a lot of people in the Go Trim group have determined that this particular product, the advanced digestive support, just makes sense for them. And it's really, really excellent in terms of providing a healthy body biome. And it's one of it's our newest digestive wellness product. I'm not going to read you the digestive support, advantages, because you have access to that, of course, on the website in detail. But I wanted to just move forward because I have a slide here that talks about sort of the highlights of what we need to do in terms of getting people on board with their digestive support. We have these amazing products. We need to be able to talk about them and let people understand that a healthy gut is a healthy immune system. And when we have a healthy gut for strong immune system, and we have better immune function and better immune health. So we're moving into the winter months, and we want people to realize that that's one of the things that they can do to make a difference. And finally, I'm going to close out with our Ultimate Aloe product. Our Ultimate Aloe is just an amazing product made from whole leaf aloe, certified by the International Aloe Council. And I think it's absolutely, an amazing product that people like for the convenience of being able to take it in the packets or having it already pre-made in the 32-ounce bottles. And you need to know your aloe so that you can talk to people about it. You need to understand that the aloin, which is the stuff that makes you poop, that's found in aloe, has been removed. So it's there as a health drink for us. It's a whole leaf aloe, and it's safe for both topical and internal use. So some people actually use our aloe for topical use as well. Any number of benefits with the Ultimate Aloe and its concentrated bioactive ingredients, but it supports immune function, a healthy gut barrier, and it's a really good source of good bacteria. You guys know why to drink it. It supports a strong immune system. It's rich in vitamins and minerals, and it's known to promote normal healing processes in the body over, supporting immune function and overall health. We have 3 times more polymers in ours than in the competition. And if you've ever tried another aloe, I don't have time to tell you the story about my brother, but he found an aloe that was a little bit less expensive and just thought it was the bomb, but it had no active ingredients in it. So, you really do want to make sure you understand the value of the products that we've got and really appreciate the active ingredients and the scientific expertise that goes into the formulations. So when we talk about paying attention to gut health, you guys, it's everything from focus, memory, emotional stability, attention, to blood sugar levels, healthy weight management, and it's also healthy aging, healthy energy, and having a healthy heart. So I want to thank you guys for joining me for this segment, and I'll turn it back over to our co-host, to Jim Dwyer, to our MC.
So much, Nancy. Absolutely amazing, phenomenal. Give some love to Nancy, Dr. Nancy, in the chat. Just a phenomenal job. A couple of things, way back at the beginning of her presentation, she talked about organic and making those wise choices. Every once in a while, I'll do, maybe once a year, I'll do a juice fast, sometimes for a week, sometimes a little longer. Regular carrots versus organic carrots, completely different taste. I encourage you, make the investment in yourself and choose organic I know it's hard. Regular carrots $1, organic carrots $4. That's a lot cheaper in the long run. If you get the organic, you don't have to deal with some of the issues. She mentioned how people hydrate before coffee, and she mentioned Judy Lancito. Judy, thank you for manning the chat. We really appreciate that. I actually combine the two. I put my water in my coffee in the morning. I just kind of knock those 2 steps out together. Digestive enzymes, a lot of questions about those. If you've ever been to dinner with me, when I take these out of my pocket, I wave them around like the people at the table next to me. I keep doing this until someone says, "What's wrong with you?" Right, which is a much longer conversation than "What's that?" And so I'll generate some interest in that. If you look over my shoulder back there, some of my product supply, there's 8 boxes of digestive enzymes on that shelf back there. They're part of my monthly shipment. I wouldn't be without them. I travel with them all the time. A lot of people in the chat were asking, when's the best time to take them? When's the best time to take your vitamins? When you remember, right? So if you're sitting down and you've eaten a full meal, take it afterwards. It'll help alleviate some of that bloating. If you remember before, take it before. For me, this is my go-to drink during. I love that it got soda out of my life. I used to love, if I had pizza, I wanted something carbonated, something with flavor. That typically meant Pepsi. This has taken that option away from me, health in a health sense, in a healthy sense, that I can use this to substitute for that. And the amount, I just put a whole one of these right in a 16-ounce bottle of water. You could do it to taste. Listen, the more you use, the more BV, right? So if you're a business partner, don't be afraid. I've never opened one of these and folded the package over to reuse the second half later. I'm not a quitter. I'm not going to do that, okay? And I will take 2 seconds to talk about, Nancy mentioned her brother and cheap aloe.